See over on the left, Koepke on Ad Nauseam. Katie Rowan, she's his opponent. She is on Infect, also 1-0.
And I suspect that this is a problematic matchup for Koepke, game one, certainly. Angel's Grace doesn't do a ton against Infect because you still get the poison counters and you just lose. The next turn you have an opportunity to lose.
One thing we were wondering is how many players would be adapting some Kaladesh cards in Infect. For Katie, no cards from the new set here, not going for any blossoming defense, sticking with cards like Apostle's Blessing.
A couple copies of Rancor, that's a somewhat significant departure from stock list. You maybe see one copy of that normally.
So Gemstone Mine, the play from Devin. For Katie, a Forest into Glistener Elf. Both players were on six card hands here. As you see, Devin will go for a turn 2 Serum Visions. For Katie, it could be a very fast start. Her hand has Gitaxian Probe, Vines of Vastwood, Pendelhaven, and Become Immense all in it.
And I think for Koepke's side of this matchup, if both players had to mulligan in tandem, he would choose for these decks to mulligan as much as possible. I think the mulligans in the matchup benefit him more than the benefit the Infect deck.
Right, because this is so scary from his side. Say Katie draws Fetch Land, then probes, cracks Fetch Land, maybe draws Mutagenic Growth off the, we're looking at a turn 3 kill very easily.
Yep, and Koepke is realistically never going to be able to do that.
So turn 2, Katie's draw for the turn, actually a big one. It's a copy of Noble Hierarch. She's going to go ahead and cast. Now, she made Forest instead of Pendelhaven here, and that might actually cost her a damage as Glistener Elf swings in for 2.
I assume that the argument is she wants to leave up this green mana, not activate the Pendelhaven. There's really no cost of having the Pendelhaven in play. Maybe just hiding the fact that she can deal more damage next turn because she's playing around some spell on this turn. Yeah,
it is interesting. She's holding back the Gitaxian Probe. Perhaps if she's looking at an all-in turn later on, she just wants to do it with perfect knowledge.
Yeah, she gets the one hit on this turn. On the following turn, she has 3 points already, just Pendelhaven, Noble Hierarch, Glistener Elf. So in this turn, if she has a pump spell or 2 to combo with that, Devin could be dead. The Gitaxian Probe on this turn lets her know the coast is clear.
Tap land for Devin, he passes. Now Katie leads off on Gitaxian Probe, maybe looking to swing lethal. And what a good time to do it. She does see the copy of Slaughter Pact hiding in Devin's hand. He also has Pact of Negation, Angel's Grace, and Simian Spirit Guide. But talk to me about Slaughter Pact here.
So Slaughter Pact, Koepke actually has the requisite mana to pay for this pact that can destroy any non-black creature for 0 mana, cost a 3 on Devin's next upkeep, and it's a great interactive spell against Infect. If Katie goes all in, I believe that she does have a Vines of Vastwood in her hand, but if she were to tap in a way that took her off access to that, this Slaughter Pact is something she's going to have to respect.
Looks at all 5.
Also, with Koepke, he has the quote-unquote combo of Angel's Grace and Pact of Negation. So if he wanted to counter a spell, he can use that as sort of a veritable force of will on this turn as well. Of course, that leaves him much colder trying to draw into his combo because the Angel's Grace is what's facilitating that, should he draw into it.
Pendelhaven pumps Glistener Elf. Now it's a 2-3. It will exalt to a 3-4. Kind of daring him to go for the Slaughter Pact. If he does, she has the Vines to back it up. So Devin to 5 poison.
It would be just shy of lethal, but there's no reason for Devin to play into that just yet.
I think what's fortunate on Devin's side is that Katie hasn't had any fetch lands here, so her graveyard only has 1 card. It's making this Become Immense actually, I think it's unlikely that she'll ever cast it this game.
Though for a matchup like this, Become Immense is not paramount to her role.
Yeah, this is still a 2-turn clock just on the board. It's a 1-turn clock if she decides to fire off Vines.
Koepke now is in a position where he can use his Simian Spirit Guide plus his Pact of Negation to potentially make that kind of force of will combo, though if he's doing that, he can't possibly combo in the next turn, and probably is just going to die to the Infectors on the following turn anyway.
Sleight of hand from Devin. Top 2, gets to put 1 in his hand. You're right, the issue here is that Devin has 2 pacts, but he can't play them both in the same turn.
Well, he can, because he can use Angel's Grace to circumvent losing the game from both packs.
Oh, so both triggers on the stack, casts Angel's Grace, then, yeah, it just doesn't pay for any of them.
The issue is that how is Devin winning the game from there? That's the struggle with the hand that he has right now.
Because he can't top deck Ad Nauseam anymore.
Once he's out of the Angel's Grace, he no longer has that combination. He's also a little light on mana to get there just yet. He's going to need 6 mana to get that off the ground to cast the Angel's Grace before the Ad Nauseam.
So Katie plays Breeding Pool untapped for the turn. This is a situation you see here, shift Become Immense to the front of her hand. Her hand has Become Immense, Vines of Vastwood, 3 Windswept Heaths. I'm I somewhat think I would have liked to have seen her use some of the Windswept Heaths to build up a graveyard.
Sure.
But here's a swing. It's for 3 poison. Devin will go to 8.
So actually here, she left
7,
back the Pendelhaven. This way with 1 card in graveyard, she's able to tap her 5 mana sources and cast Become Immense. This doesn't seem like a matchup where that's horribly relevant. What I'm picking up here is I imagine that Ad Nauseam, it's not a very popular deck. This might be her first time playing against it.
If she's not sure what kind of removal he has, it'd be reasonable for him to have red-based removal. And if he did, this would be a really strong line.
Yep. And Devin
but he
has access to all 5 colors of mana with the Gemstone Mine. So I like playing it a little bit cautious here, and this matchup is positive enough where I don't see it costing her really anything.
Yeah, I mean, Devin's going to have to try to win this turn. He peered through depths on end step. He finds Ad Nauseam. This actually could be that because, yeah, he could win here. Hold on.
Untapped land actually gives Devin the game on this turn.
Right, so he pitches Spirit Guide, plays land, 6 mana, Angel's Grace, Ad Nauseam.
Yep.
And then we'll explain how it wins from there, but I'll tell you, it does.
He was missing the Ad Nauseam to that point. Picking that up was good, but I don't think he has the untapped land. Untapped land or Sirian Spirit Guide would have done it here.
His draw was Lotus Bloom. That certainly doesn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
You see a frown on his face. He knew he was drawing to that out. Now, we'll look at Angel's Grace, because you touched on this before, how it doesn't actually do what he wants to. So if he casts it, he'll go to 10 poison on the attack. But then he won't lose that turn, but then immediately on the following turn, he just loses him. So it doesn't really work.
It stops you from going below 1 life. It does not prevent you from getting poison counters. As soon as state-based effects are checked and the Angel Grace buffer is no longer there, you do lose the game. You don't even have a window to cast a second Angel's Grace if you had that. So
it's going to be a bluff here from Devin. Katie draws and cracks a fetch land. He's hoping that she does not go for 3 poison. It's a low... It's not a good bluff.
So here's something about when you think of Kevin's out there being untapped mana source, his odds are actually probably lower than you might think. This deck hinges on fast lands, 4 Seachrome Coasts, 3 Darkslick Shores to not take much damage off of its mana base. So many of the lands in Devin's deck actually would not have been live to win the game on that turn. He just has 3 basic lands, 2 Mana Confluence, and then a bunch of Temples, a bunch of Seachrome Coasts, a second Gemstone Mine, and the Simian Spirit Guides. So really he had less than 10 live draws on that turn.
What he could have gone for that turn, well, we'll go to the play here. Katie's going to swing with Glistener Elf. She's going to become Immense it, and she's leaving up Vines, so this should be lethal.
That's lethal a couple times over, actually.
She's left up Vines the entire game. And Devin, you know, he's got the Slaughter Pact, but...
And the Pact of Negation.
Can't play them both. Slaughter Pact, Slaughter Pact the Elf, Vines Vassar from Katie. That's going to be the game. Okay, not yet. Pact of Negation on it. So Devin wins this trade. He's going to have to use his Angel's Grace to not lose on his upkeep.
Well, if he uses the Angel's Grace, that'll be in effect for this. If he draws the untapped mana source now, he can just cast Ad Nauseam on that turn because he has the Simian Spirit Guide now.
So this isn't even that bad.
He's looking for the same thing he was looking for last turn.
Yeah, upkeep. With all those pack triggers on the stack, he will Angel's Grace. Then decline to pay for any of them, but he doesn't lose. Can't lose this game. Not this turn, at least.
This turn, anyway. Ugh, Pentad Prism, not what we were looking for. Technically untapped, technically a mana source. Does not net mana on the turn you cast it.
Well, there's not an Inkmoth hiding on Katie's side. Devin's got some time to work with as he puts 2 counters on the Pentad Prism.
And all Katie had to do to be lethal on that turn was just Pendelhaven. So the Become Immense was a little overzealous.
You thinking she would, if she'd gone for Pendelhaven, she'd still have Become Immense in her hand. The Elf would still be dead.
Sure. Yeah, she would lose that fight.
You have to go the regular damage route.
But now she's looking at trying to win the game with Noble Hierarch. And Become Immense is one of the ways to kind of push that over the top. Actually, hold on.
Yeah, this is great.
She has a Viridian Corruptor. This is excellent. That will destroy this Pentad Prism.
Take him off the mana.
So Devin now needs to draw another Ad Nauseam and another Angel's Grace.
Well, Corruptor plus Noble Hierarch, that's 3 poison. That's a 1-turn. This is a huge draw. That's a 1-turn clock. Here's the Corruptor. Yeah, destroys target artifact. Devin has one. There goes Pentad Prism. That was a huge draw for Katie.
This is great.
He's thinking, oh, does he? Nope, nope, it's gone.
And as you probably imagine, the Corruptor is a one-of, as it typically is in an Infect deck. Love it.
Bloom down to 1. So this means even if Devin draws Angel's Grace, it's not good enough. He could, I have a really bad line he could take here. He could pitch the Spirit Guide, cast Ad Nauseam, and if he draws 3 or 2, he draws the 3 mana sources of an untapped land, 2 Spirit Guides, and the Lightning Storm, and
chains
a million lands.
He's still on 20, right?
It's not good. He's going to go a different route. He's going to cast Spirit Guide as a blocker and play Dark Six Shores. I actually really like this. Hold on.
Yeah, there's generally not a way to make the Corruptor just punch through with trample or unblockability. She'd be drawing to something like the Rancors. We know she has 2 copies of Rancor. Distortion Strike is also an out to close the game here.
2 of those, 2 Apostles' Blessings. But none of those happen, so here's the Corruptor attacking. Spirit Guide hits the bin. Glistener Elf from Katie. She'll pass. So now Devin gets his Lotus Bloom. He still has that line I was talking about. Just cast Ad Nauseam, cross some fingers.
Yep, and now he has enough mana where he can draw Phyrexian Unlife, cast that off the Bloom, and then still Ad Nauseam. The Seachrome Coast off the top is not going to facilitate a win here. Just has to cross his fingers on this Ad Nauseam.
Hey, our out was to draw a lot of lands off this Ad Nauseam. Seachrome Coast, in my perfect world, this is a shock.
That's true. He would rather that it was flipped off instead of something that might deal him damage here with the Ad Nauseam.
So here is Ad Nauseam from Devin. This is a little bit of a Hail Mary. We'll see. He's going to reveal cards and take a lot of damage. So 0 off the Bloom. That's 1 off 2. 7. That, wasn't into that. But
well, he can't stop.
you're definitely dead. Unlife. All right.
Unlife, not good against poison as a way of dealing damage to your
11.
opponent.
So Devin's taking 11 down to 9 life. 13, he's down to 7 life. He hasn't found, well, he has 1 mana source. He's got an untapped land. Is he trying to anything else other than just the Lightning Storm and everything? Yeah, Spirit Guide puts him down to 4. He can't actually draw Lightning Storm anymore and a Spirit Guide. It would not. Well, actually, he just needs Lightning Storm, right? He has the Bloom in play.
So he can just use the Bloom to cast Simian Spirit Guide, jump in front of the Corruptor, and hope that Katie does not have another pump spell for the Glistener Elf.
All right, so yeah, staying at 4 life, he's going to suspend 2 Blooms. I might be overstating. Maybe Devin may not be as dead as I had thought.
He's pretty dead, but we'll find out how it plays out. Unclear exactly what the leftovers in Katie's hand are.
So cracks Lotus Bloom to cast Simian Spirit Guide, it looks like, and then play Serum Visions. So he's looking to chump block the Corruptor and draw the win next turn, both to the bottom.
And
Lightning Storm's in his hand.
Picked up Lightning Storm, scryed a couple spells to the bottom, so he was pretty far off of this ideal bunch of lands in a row line.
Well, he can cast Lightning Storm next turn. He can use the Pentad Prism to make the double red, cast it, blow up some things. If he does that, however...
Lightning Storm only has 1 target, unfortunately, so he can't use the lands to kill multiple creatures. Katie is down to 15 already because of things like the Gataxian Probe, Fetch Land, what have you. So he would need to be able to discard, 6 lands?
She'll cast Gataxian Probe. She's down to 13. Right now, she can only put him to 9 poison.
5 lands.
So Lightning Storm. 1 land. That's not it. He's got an Ad Nauseam, a Phyrexian Unlife.
So the Unlife will facilitate being able to cast another Ad Nauseam. He's shy on mana on doing that in the same turn now that he did have to crack that Lotus Bloom.
Right.
And he's cast 2 Simian Spirit Guides in this deck, so the fast mana not really available to him.
Katie Pendlehaven's up the Glistener Elf. Swings both.
Any pump spells lethal from here.
Spirit Guide trades with Corruptor, but there is no pump spell. Devin to 9 poison. He's actually still alive.
Wow. This is a longer game 1 than I was expecting. This is really cool.
Devin could win from here. That's incredible. Okay. The Blooms tick down to 2. Devin will draw. Pact of Negation. Okay, that could come in handy.
Yeah, and now the Lightning Storm, you could just use that as a removal spell for the Glistener Elf. A
still,
lot of lists
yeah.
play 2 copies. Devin only has 1, but he has a Laboratory Maniac as a backup win condition.
Okay, so then he could get Maniac, and if he gets this Ad Nauseam and Unlife in his hand, he could just try to draw his whole deck.
So Devin has Lightning Storm, 1 land. If he goes for that line and Katie has 2 lands in her hand, she can kill Devin. He's at 4.
I think he does have 2 lands. Oh, wow. Okay.
That'd be an interesting resolution.
She'd have to know that that's how that card works. Until you said that, I'll tell you I forgot it.
Yeah, it's if you didn't draft a lot of Cold Snap, and I can't blame you. It was pretty miserable.
All right. Right now, Sleight of Hand got Devin a Mystical Teachings.
Oh, actually, so the thing about the lands in the deck, it's actually really relying on Lotus Bloom and Simian Spirit Guide. He needs to cast a Pentad Prism before he can actually make the double red. He does have one here, though.
Yeah, so here's Pentad Prism. He cannot Mystical Teachings for a second Slaughter Pact. There's only 1 in the main. I think he would if it was possible. He's got to be worried about that Lightning Storm if he casts it. Yeah, as he said, he will lose.
You want to do it before Katie draws for her turn, because you're just turning a land into a spell that kills you. So I think you want to do it on your turn.
Sleight of Hand again from Devin. Serum Visions and land, he'll take the Visions. So he's hoping to get to a spot where he Ad Nauseams his whole deck, plays the Lab Maniac, then casts a Serum Visions to win.
Yep.
Plays another Temple, Scribe 1. He's left up 3 mana. Angel's Grace is on top.
Okay. That combos with Ad Nauseam, just needs to survive long enough to make these Lotus Blooms come off suspend.
Yeah, except that, okay, Katie draws. She's got too many lands in hand. If she knows how she reads the Lightning Storm, she's going to be able to kill him. Goes to Pendelhaven, the Glistener Elf. Here's Lightning Storm from Devin. So we're going to get that card on screen.
Yeah, and she just bins the Glistener Elf.
Discard a card, yeah.
It looks like she has 3 lands in hand
Yeah.
as well. This is not a card that I would fault somebody for not really knowing how it works. This card it's absurd, right? It's like Chain Lightning on steroids.
And then
with
you fight over what
wackiness.
the target is with
Yeah.
lands. And she may have won the land fight, I think. I don't know.
Think
Devin
she has 3 lands in hand, and Devin discarded a bunch when he had to discard for turn. He kept on spells. So I think that Devin discarding off lands was a misplay, given the way that was the line that he had to have. But
it's too weird. Yeah. Unlife from Devin. That doesn't do much, but it sets him up for an Ad Nauseam next turn when those 2 blooms come off suspend. A draw from Katie. Remember, a Become Immense or something could even perhaps win on the Noble Hierarch.
Growth would do it, right?
Yeah. She'll swing. This is for 1 point with the Noble Hierarch. Devin down to 2. She'll pass. Hand is a Dismember and a bunch of lands.
Though the Unlife and the Angel's Grace in his hand, they will insulate him against losing to Noble Hierarch rather than infect damage.
And now it is game time. He got both his Lotus Blooms in play. He's going to cast Ad Nauseam. Now you see he's at 2, except how Phyrex and Unlife works means that he's just going to draw all of them. And go to a big negative number. And further damage he takes will now be as poison.
Yep.
That's fine.
Which is kind of, he's at 9 poison, but he will not be taking any more damage, as we're going to see a Lab Maniac and a Serum Visions here, with several Pact of Negation backup.
So 3 blue, cast Lab Maniac. And you win the game if you attempt to draw off an empty library with this card. So he'll tap that last land for Serum Visions. Well, he has no library. He drew all the cards. And game 1 to Devin Koepke.
That was wild.
That was crazy.
That was a roller coaster.
The ability of him just to be on the ropes for so long that game and then win it, that's a real testament to the deck. It's so linear. A lot of times these linear combo decks don't have that kind of play to them.
I can't think of a lot of times where I have seen Chump Block with Simian Spirit Guide as part of a winning recipe.
Yeah, and to be fair, there's a lot of things had to go wrong for Katie for her to not get that game. There were so many turns where Devin was just dead to a pump spell, and she really didn't hit on any of them.
Yep. Pump spell with combat damage or infect damage.
Yeah, either would have worked. I think it would have Yeah, I mean, Devin ends at 2 life and 9 poison, so.
A precarious position and no cards in library.
Yeah.
Though, that was beneficial for him.
If she had a Decimator Web, he would have lost 3 different ways that turn. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and look at the sideboard for a second here. Let's start with Katie Rowan's sideboard. She's got a Relic of Progenitus, 2 Viridian Corruptors, 2 Wall of Roots, 2 Spell Pierce, a Wild Defiance, a Dispel, a Kitchen Finks, 2 Nature's Claim, a Twisted Image, and 2 Spell Skites.
So Dispel here is great, counters ad nauseum. The 2 Spell Pierce are excellent. They can tag Phyrexian Unlife or ad nauseum, which are elements of Devin's combo. The Spell Skite is interesting the way it plays out against Lightning Storm. Realistically, it never actually works. There's too many lands in the deck. You have to have too many things to go right for that to work. Though I do like Viridian Corruptor. Maybe go up to 2. I don't know about all the way to 3 copies, but being able to hit Pentad Prism can slow Devin down a lot.
Yeah, some over on Devin's side of the board, and this is something you were talking about, and I think he's using it here.
Oh, yeah.
One of his sideboard plans, he's going to board out the Pentad Prisms, board out the Lotus Blooms, because he only wants 2 artifacts in his deck.
Yep, and they are both named Platinum Angel. You cannot lose the game. It's sort of like an Angel's Grace. Really, Angel's Grace is referencing Platinum Angel in a way. Just a 4/4 Flying Angel. The text box, you can't lose the game. I was very casual when they printed this card, and power creep is what it screamed to me. We see it combining with Madcap Experiment, which is a new one from Kaladesh. You just flip over cards from the top of your deck until you hit an artifact, put that artifact onto the battlefield, lose life equal to the total converted mana cost of cards you revealed, or number of cards you revealed. But Platinum Angel means
it's going to be a lot. You're going to take a bunch, just
exactly.
Like maybe all your life points.
But you can't lose the game because you control Platinum Angel. Presumably Inquisition of Kozilek coming here as well, just to try to slow Katie down. Echoing Truth is another reasonable find for that reason.
It's a gambit, right? Because when he goes to a negative life total, if the Angel leaves the battlefield, he'll lose on the spot.
Yes.
But he's banking on the fact that Katie will not have a removal spell anymore for Platinum Angel.
And, I talked about Corruptor being good against Pentad Prism. It's great against Platinum Angel when Devin is literally dead to state-based effects.
We'll see how she keeps them in, boards up on them. They did some work last game. She could have up to 3 Corruptors.
Yeah.
So they get ready for a second game. Over on Star City Games, we have a new thing we are debuting this week. This is the Commander 2016 and the Versus playmats. So the Commander 2016 is coming out. We have that edition and the set of all 5 decks. These are available right now for pre-order. So this is 5 4-color 100-card Commander decks. These include 56 new Magic the Gathering cards in them. And then you get the Versus Series playmats from the web series. This is of Justin Parnell, John Suarez, Stephen Green, and Jeremy Knoll. You see all of them. These are now available in pre-order either as any one of them or as the set of 4. They will ship on November 11th, but you can find out more about them at starcitygames.com/Commander2016.
Which color would you pick?
Blue.
Okay.
That was close.
Yeah. You thought about that pretty hard, huh? Well, I was also,
I mean, they didn't have a white one, so,
I was considering blue as well, but yeah, I don't want to be that guy. Do you do that?
Do you want to have a half blue, half red one?
When you're out for dinner and somebody orders what you were thinking about ordering, do you audible?
Yeah, I usually switch it.
I switch every time.
And I feel bad about it, too. I'm like, man, I really wanted to eat that. And I know that doesn't make sense.
I apologize to the server. I take a minute. I'm sorry. I'm this person. I'll have the bisque. Then I apologize to myself for ordering poorly. I'm not good at audibling.
Devin down to 6 here. Speaking of blue-red stuff, I know that you are big on the Grixis Delver deck. You expect to see any of that this weekend?
I know that there's some in the field. There's been some, quote, innovations to the deck. People picking up some young Pyromancers and some Cataxian Probe, circa the build of the deck when people stopped playing the deck because it wasn't good in Modern. But it's been putting up results recently. Kevin Jones, of course, qualified for the USW World Magic Cup team, playing a build like that. And the big argument for Young Pyromancer right now is it shores up your Bant Eldrazi matchup a little bit. Counterspell's not very good there, as we discussed earlier. Cavern of Souls, making some chump blockers for Thought-Knot Seer, maybe even making a critical mass to deal with Reality Smasher. That's the big reason to play this card right now.
Yeah, I mean, and I think Devin's playing this as well. There just aren't that many kill spells in Modern right now.
Yep.
So for Devin Koepke, the 24-year-old from Oakaville, Illinois. He's on Team Card Hoarder. He has 4 open top 8s and got his first open win this year on the tour. That was in Standard back with Bant Company. Right now, still on the outside of the Players' Championship, but he's on one of the top teams here and has had some great finishes in the second half of 2016.
Open champion with Bant Company. Selfless Spirits. His team kind of innovated that.
I think my favorite thing, he owns a donkey. That's not even, that's real. All right.
It's named Waldo. Doesn't bring it to tournaments, which leads one to ask the question, where is Waldo?
We'll be back at home on I assume the farm? I'm assuming we're not just like living in the suburbs with a donkey.
In a field of similar dromedaries. Are donkeys dromedary? I'm going to say that they are.
Camels are. I don't think so.
I think it's, yeah, camels and similar animals. I apologize to any, what's even the word? This is not my field of expertise.
I'm just letting you go on this one.
I could not be saved from myself.
Katie starts on a fetch land. She gets Breeding Pool. For Devin, he kept on 5. Start on Mana Confluence, Serum Visions, binned the Laboratory Maniac to the bottom, but he kept a card on top.
It's a really good place to have Laboratory Maniac in your deck, the literal bottom card. That's kind of perfect.
Suspend 1, win the game. I'm pretty into it. Devin's hand, double Angel's Grace, Pact of Negation. It might need some work. For Katie, her first threat is Blighted Agent on turn 2. She now has an Infector ready to go.
Yeah, off of Inkmoth Nexus, no less.
She has 2 Infectors ready to go. Looks like the card Devin tapped was Serum Visions. Plays Temple, Scries, it's a Lightning Storm. He's spending all his win cons.
That one is also fine living on the bottom of the deck.
Now he'll cast Serum Visions. Draws Ad Nauseam, he probably wants one of those.
A little issue here, he flipped up the top, the second from the top card a little bit. He's scrying anyway.
Yeah, normally that would be something the judge would fix the deck. It's like, hey, you're about to scry anyway. It's not really a penalty, it's fine, just do your scry.
Yep, thanks for bringing it to my attention. Do your thing.
So Devin, 2 Angel's Graces and an Ad Nauseam. He keeping a basic Swamp on top, Unlife on the bottom. That makes sense.
Against an aggressive deck like Burn, Unlife, great fine. Against a Blighted Agent on the table,
yeah,
that one can live on the bottom too.
He's got a Spirit Guide in hand, so he can pump out this combo on turn 5, it looks like right now, if he hits the land drops, but I don't know if he'll have time to get there. And Katie's hand's pretty good. Become Immense, Spell Pierce, Gataxian Probe, and Vines of Vastwood.
Even if he had the Unlife, wouldn't be able to resolve it through this Spell Pierce.
She will swing with 1 off Blighted Agent. And this is the second game in a row. Katie has taken a very defensive posture for the Infect deck.
Mm-hmm. Sitting on Gataxian Probe, this is not the turn where she's looking to push her chips forward just yet.
Yeah, I do get it. This is how I see a lot of Infect players play Infect against, say, a Jund. In combo mirrors, which this is, generally I like to see the Infect players play more aggressively than this. She'll play a second Blighted Agent, though, so that'll be aggressive enough.
Yep. The Blighted Agent took her off of Spell Pierce, so Koepke did have a window to resolve Angel's Grace there, or Phyrexian Unlife there, though the Spell Pierce, really what you want to hit is the Ad Nauseam anyway.
Third land pass from Devin. We go to Katie's 4th turn. She's going to cast Gataxian Probe, and now she sees what she's up against. It's 2 Angel's Graces, a Pact of Negation, an Ad Nauseam, and a Simian Spirit Guide.
A funny thing about Spell Pierce versus Ad Nauseam, if they have a Lotus Bloom and a surplus of mana, sure, they'll power right through it. If they have to spend 2 Simian Spirit Guides, maybe they can't cast their Lightning Storm that turn, and they have to pass turn and die to state-based effects on your turn.
I mean, Katie just has him covered, right?
Yep.
There's no way he's banking on this. First of all, it's too slow. Second of all, even if he does get to it, she's going to Spell Pierce him.
Yep.
Katie's draw out of the sideboard was like her one of copy of Wild Defiance. She'll swing for 2 Infect. Usually we see that against Lightning Bolt decks.
I think that she was expecting a very different sideboard plan than Koepke is employing here. Sideboarding into a different copy, obviously Wild Defiance isn't going to line up there. You see a lot of card selection. There's a real chance that Koepke just turns into a Lightning Bolt deck pro sideboard.
Yeah, she plays the Wild Defiance. Koepke's almost certainly dead next turn.
Yes.
Just cast another Gataxian Probe, hand's still the same. And there's one thing, with Koepke's sideboard of this Madcap Experiment, he had to port out his Pentad Prisms and Lotus Blooms. His deck is a lot slower now.
Yeah. In particular, that Spell Pierce, way better against this configuration than the Game 1 configuration.
Yeah. Temple from Devin. Says go. I mean, he's almost certainly dead here. At 3 poison. Pendelhaven for Katie.
He's dead, Jim.
Yeah. She can Vines. Yeah,
Distortion
she's got,
Strike, Become Immense. Distortion Strike plus Wild Defiance. Kind of a combo.
Want to see her push for the win here. If she does, she's got it. With Pierce backup. And even with Pact Negation, if she goes for a pump spell and Devin counters with Pact, the Wild Defiance still triggers.
Yep.
Still
gets
+3.
plus it. Wild Defiance is great against Grixis Delver, for the record.
She swings, then goes and delves away the graveyard to become immense a Blighted Agent. She has both Vines and Pierce up. There's no way. This is +9/+9. He will Pact of Negation the Become Immense. That's fine. The Blighted Agent still pumps.
Yep. Spell Pierce can't quite come into play there. Kick the Vines and you should have lethal here.
Yeah. Even just play the Vines not kicked and you should have lethal here.
Even just
because it's 5 and that'll pump it 3 more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she'll kick it. We'll get him real dead now.
Yep. Koepke also in a position where he has to pitch his Simian Spirit Guide to even pay for the Pact on the following turn.
And he's taking 12 poison right now. Just going to draw 3 cards.
Cast Ancestral Recall, and not good enough.
Katie Rowan takes down game 2. We're going to get to a decider here. That looked one-sided.
It did.
And what I didn't like from the ad nauseum side is he didn't put any. I mean, he mulled the 5 first,
Yep.
but his deck did not put any pressure on Katie to play tight even. And I'm not, this is a tough matchup, or it can be, I would think.
So interestingly, if he executed this sideboard plan, if he draws Madcap Experiment, he has Simian Spirit Guide, he can cast it on turn 3, get Platinum Angel on the table, sure.
He can Pact, right?
Yeah, okay. He has Pact backup, so he would have that to cover the Spell Pierce.
So he would have. So he was 1 Madcap Experiment from winning.
Yes. So if he had all those elements on turn 3 of the game, he could have pulled that off. It's possible that Katie can still top deck a Viridian Corruptor from there, which is kind of what I was getting at. Even if he executes the sideboard plan, he had to draw all the things he drew plus an additional thing for it to even get through that Spell Pierce in the first place.
I actually do like this. He's playing Platinum Angel over Empyrean. Empyrean's the 8/8 that says your life total can't change. If he's playing Platinum Angel, I do actually like the interaction with the Pacts, where he can just play a bunch of Pact negations to force the spell through and then not pay for any of them.
Yeah. This is a deck that has been kicked around a lot. Initially, Platinum Empyrean was the deck that the card people went towards. I know that Caleb Durward's been streaming this heavy main deck Madcap Experiment Pact of Negation deck. It's neat.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's close to breaking through, but it's an interesting thing you'll be doing in Modern. Certainly very powerful. You can just turn 2, turn 3, make a Platinum Angel, counter some spells and win the game without much fuss in a number of spots.
See, I want to play it with like Pyretic Ritual. When I do this, I want to do it. I want to make it more of a combo deck.
The natural spells to put in the deck are Pyretic Ritual and just put Blood Moons in this deck.
Sure.
So it's super fun to play against. Great F&M deck. You'll make a lot of friends, I'm sure.
All right. Those of you joining us over on StarCityGames.com or on Twitch TV, we're happy to welcome you over to the feature match area where we will be broadcasting all weekend. So over at twitch.tv/SCG Live. We also have our Twitch subscription program. You can get custom emoticons and a badge. It's only $5 a month, and you get to decide the quarterfinals. So as we work our way through the weekend, you get to pick what players and decks you want to see when the single elimination rounds come up. So head on over to twitch.tv and join us. We'll be all weekend. We have 9 rounds today, 9 rounds tomorrow as well. So we're underway game 3. This time both players on 7. Devin starts on Temple, scries it to the top. He has been on some mulligans both games. First on 5, then on, I think it was on 6, then on 5. At full strength, I'm interested to see what this deck can do.
He's got a fistful of red cards. Looks like an experiment, and at least, I think it's 2 Simian Spirit Guides. We can see a Platinum Angel on this turn.
Is he going to do it into a fetch land? If Katie has a Spell Pierce, she's got him covered. He's going for it. Spirit Guide, Madcap Experiment. Don't Spell Pierce. That's his game plan here.
One-time dealer.
I love it.
The odds of winning if this spell is countered have to be close to 0.
She doesn't have one. And here we go. He's going to reveal Platinum Angel. Only 2 cards.
Wow.
Wow,
So
what is that?
he gets to survive.
He doesn't even go to negative life total. I am disappointed.
This is like cheating.
I wanted to see him at negative 10. So he goes to 18, gets a Platinum Angel. And now she's going to have to read it. Okay. All right. Can we win? Well, not while that's in play.
Can't win. You can't lose. We got to do something about this.
So she can still put poison on him. She can get 10 poison onto him.
Yep.
And then if the angel goes away, she wins the game.
Yep, so we're looking specifically at those Radiant Cropters. One main deck, 2 sideboard copies. There's 2 Nature's Claims. I don't imagine that they're in the post-sideboard configuration here.
Maybe.
It's possible that they are. You know, Koepke is a Phyrexian on life deck. She's seeing Pentad Prisms.
Does Koepke have a blue pact in hand?
He has an Echoing Truth.
Oh, okay. Not nearly. If it was a blue pact, I was going to say this is done.
Depending how this game plays out, if he gets to 7 mana sources, there's theoretically a universe where he can save his Platinum Angel and recast it. I imagine it won't take long before he has 10 poison counters, though.
One thing I like, you see, Katie plays Inkmoth Nexus here, is that she could actually set up a big enough blocker in Inkmoth Nexus. It can't be bounced by Echoing Truth.
Sure.
And maybe Devin just can't attack, can't win. She could stall out the game.
He does still have Ad Nauseam in his deck. In fact, in his hand.
Yeah.
And the Platinum Angel also facilitates this combo. When he gets to 5 mana, he just wins the game.
Devin swings for 4. He scried there. There was another Madcap Experiment on top, and he was thinking about whether or not just another 4/4 flyer would be good enough.
Yeah, it's very unlikely that Katie has something that destroys 2 artifacts in one go.
Might of Old Krosa on Blighted Agent. Now it's a 5/5. She'll swing. Devin's at 5 poison. I mean, her getting 10 poison on him is part of the strategy.
Yes.
Here's another Blighted Agent and a pass. She does actually have 2 Might of Old Krosa's Distortion Strike and Become Immense, so this idea that she could block with the Nexus is a real thing. On end step, Devin's Echoing Truthing both copies of Blighted Agent.
Pretty good.
He draws Simian Spirit Guide. He's 1 mana away from casting Ad Nauseam, so he attacks Katie down to 11. He'll play the Laboratory Maniac.
Slight upgrade from the Simian Spirit Guides that we saw him cast earlier in the match.
If he draws his whole deck next turn, if he draws the land for Ad Nauseam, he does not have anything like Faithless Looting that would let him win that turn. It would be winning 1 turn after.
Right. So it's likely we would see him just cast the Ad Nauseam on Katie's turn.
See lots of pump spells for Katie. She will just pass. It looks like her plan is to try to block and pump. And Devin's got to be wise to it. He just bounced 2 Blighted Agents and she replayed none of them.
Yep. She is up to something.
But there's no pressure on Devin. He can just hang out, say go.
Yeah, by electing to leave up a blocker, she's also just not attacking. She has to get 5 more poison on Devin as well as dealing with the Platinum Angel. I don't know which one of those to call step 1. They're both kind of equally important.
Yeah.
You have to accomplish both.
So Devin plays a Dark Slick Shores and says go. No attacks. Smart on there. He's playing around all these combat tricks. Katie goes and gets a Breeding Pool on his end step. At 4 lands. She's waiting to have enough mana to start recasting these Blighted Agents while leaving up the Inkmoth, but that's going to be tough. Her draw was the 2nd copy of Distortion Strike, and her hand is swelling up with pump spells. We have 2 Might of Old Krosas, 2 Distortion Strikes, and a Become Immense.
Sitting at 10 life with Devin not attacking into the Inkmoth the previous turn, I would like to cast at least a Blighted Agent this turn.
Yeah, are you worried that you'll die the next? Say if you cast 2 agents, are you worried that you're actually going to lose this turn, or do you have 1 more turn to go?
To be fair, she has played this match as if Devin could have Lightning Bolt in his deck. So
right.
Theoretically, another crack for 4 could put you in dead range.
Devin just gets cheekier every turn. Here's the Laboratory Maniac attacking. Sure.
Take 2. Oh.
No, she's got to defend her life total. She's blocking with Inkmoth. She's going to use 1 of her Might of Old Krosas. And in response, Devin is going to exile Spirit Guide and cast Ad Nauseam. Now, he could draw his whole deck if he wants.
Well, here he has not yet played a land drop this turn, so he would have to draw a card at instant speed.
Yeah, we're in combat still.
Yeah, he just wants to pact a negation on the pump spell.
So
That way,
okay, so he draws it all.
the Maniac survives. He'll be able to draw a card in his second main phase.
Yeah.
So what happened here is he got Katie to tap off of her blue mana. So now he knows he'll be able to cast whatever he wants on this turn. So the coast is clear.
So he casts Slaughter Pact on the blocker, and he's got 3 Pact of Negations in his hand.
Yep, Basic Island, Serum Visions. There we go.
So Basic Island Serum Visions wins game. And even without the Serum Visions, Devin has 3 Pacts and is going to win on the next turn. This is easy.
Yeah, had quite a negative 99. You see, I don't think that's an accurate number. That's a rough approximation.
No, we did the math. We counted all the spells in the deck, and it was exactly 99. Who knew?
You know that someone's going to double check that. I don't know why you would say something like that.
We'll never know. Devin Koepke, 2 games to 1, defeats Katie Rowan ad nauseum off a pretty slick sideboard plan. I mean, if anyone